Captain Jake Martinez stared at the view screen of the UES Defiant. The stars looked peaceful today. Too peaceful. He had been patrolling this sector for 3 weeks without seeing anything more dangerous than a lost cargo ship. The Defiant was not much to look at. The alien species in the Galactic Coalition often called human ships cute or simple. Jake had heard the comments before. The Zephyrians laughed at human technology. The Mentari Empire barely acknowledged human existence. After 30 years, in the Coalition, humans were still seen as the weak little brothers who needed protection. Jake was fine with that reputation. It made his job easier. "Captain," said Lieutenant Amy Foster from her position at the communications station. She was young, maybe 25, with bright eyes that missed nothing. "I'm picking up a distress signal from the mining colony on Kepler 7. Jake turned toward her. "What kind of distress?" Amy's face went pale as she listened to her headset. "Sir, they're under attack. Multiple ships. Heavy weapons fire. They're saying it's a Zephyrian battle group." Jake felt his stomach drop. The Zephyrians were getting bold lately. They had been expanding their territory for months, taking over small colonies and claiming them as liberation zones. The Coalition government always protested, but never did anything real to stop them. "How many ships?" Jake asked. 12 destroyers, sir." "Maybe more." Amy's voice was steady, but Jake could hear the worry. "The colony has no defenses. They're just miners and their families." Jake looked at his tactical display. The nearest Coalition fleet was 3 hours away. The mining colony had maybe 30 minutes before the Zephyrians finished their attack. 2,000 people lived on that colony. Men, women, children. All about to die while the galaxy's most powerful military alliance did nothing. "Sir?" Amy was looking at him. So was the rest of the bridge crew. They all knew what the smart move was. "Stay back, wait for help. File a report later about how tragic it all was." Jake had never been good at making smart moves. "All stations, battle alert," he said. "Helm, set course for Kepler 7, maximum speed." Lieutenant Gary Webb at the helm station turned around. "Sir, we're just one ship. They have 12 destroyers." "I can count, Lieutenant." Jake sat down in his captain's chair. "Amy, send a message to the colony. Tell them help is coming." "What should I tell them about our numbers, sir?" Jake smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Tell them one ship is enough." The Defiant jumped to faster than light speed. Jake watched the stars stretch into lines on the view screen. In his mind, he was already planning the attack. The Zephyrians would not expect a single human ship to challenge them. That was their first mistake. 20 minutes later, they dropped back into normal space near Kepler 7. The scene was worse than Jake had expected. The mining colony's small space station was already burning. Escape pods drifted in space like scattered seeds. The Zephyrian destroyers hung in formation around the planet, taking their time with the destruction. "Captain," said Chief Engineer Paula Martinez. She was no relation to Jake, but they had served together for 5 years. "I'm reading massive damage to the colony's main habitat. If we don't stop this soon, everyone down there is going to suffocate." Jake nodded. "Amy, open a channel to the Zephyrian fleet." "Channel open, sir." "Zephyrian vessels, this is Captain Martinez of the UES Defiant. You are attacking a civilian target in violation of Coalition law. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The response came back in the harsh, clicking language of the Zephyrians. Amy translated. "They're laughing, sir. They say one human ship cannot threaten them. They suggest we run home before they add us to their target practice." "How rude," Jake said. He looked around the bridge. His crew was watching him with trust and fear in equal measure. They were good people. They deserved to know what they were really flying in. "All hands, this is the captain. For 30 years, we've let everyone think we're weak. Today that ends. Chief Martinez, release operational security locks on all systems." Paula's hands flew over her console. "Locks released, sir. All systems showing true capability." On the tactical display, the Defiant's status changed completely. What had shown as basic plasma cannons now displayed as quantum disruption beam arrays. The ship's defensive rating jumped from light to heavy plus. Even the ship's size reading increased as stealth systems deactivated. Gary Webb whistled softly. I had no idea we were flying in a monster. Nobody did, Jake said. That was the point. Amy, record everything that happens next. Command is going to want proof. The Zephyrian fleet had finished with the space station and was turning toward the planet's surface. They had not even noticed the single human ship yet. That was about to change. Target the lead destroyer, Jake ordered. Full power to forward weapons. Sir, said his tactical officer, Lieutenant Ben Clark. If we fire at full power, we'll reveal everything. There's no going back after this. Jake thought about the families on the planet below, about the children in those escape pods. About 30 years of pretending to be weak while bullies like the Zephyrians grew stronger. Fire, he said. The quantum disruption beam lanced out from the Defiant. It hit the Zephyrian destroyer's shields and passed through them like they were made of paper. The beam struck the hull, and the entire ship simply came apart. Not exploded, just ... separated into its basic molecules. The other 11 Zephyrian ships spun around in shock. Jake could imagine their captains screaming questions at their sensor officers. How had a primitive human weapon just destroyed their most advanced destroyer in one shot? Target the next ship, Jake said calmly. Sir? Amy called out. The Zephyrians are demanding to know what kind of weapon we're using. They're saying this violates the Treaty of Rigel. Tell them we're using a human weapon, Jake replied. Nothing more, nothing less. The second destroyer tried to run. The quantum beam caught it anyway. Like its companion, it simply ceased to exist. Now the remaining 10 ships were firing everything they had at the Defiant. Plasma bolts, particle beams, and kinetic missiles struck the human ship's hull. Jake felt the deck shake slightly under his feet. Damage report, he called. Chief Martinez checked her readings. No damage, sir. Their weapons can't penetrate our hull, Jake nodded. The Defiant's armor was made of adaptive metamaterial. Each hit taught it how to better defend against the next one. After 30 seconds of enemy fire, the ship had become effectively invulnerable to anything the Zephyrians had. Return fire. All weapons. The Defiant had been built to look like it carried 4 plasma cannons. In reality, it mounted 16. Quantum disruption arrays, 8 particle lance batteries, and a dozen other weapon systems that no alien species had ever seen before. When they all fired at once, the space around Kepler-7 lit up like a small sun. 8 minutes later, the battle was over. 12 Zephyrian destroyers had become expanding clouds of vapor. The used Defiant hung alone in space, without a scratch on its hull. Amy, Jake said quietly, send a message to Coalition Command. Tell them the Zephyrian attack on Kepler-7 has been stopped. What should I say about our methods, sir? Jake looked at the tactical display. Soon every intelligence service in the galaxy would be studying the sensor readings from this battle. They would have questions, many, many questions. Tell them, Jake said, that humanity defended itself. On the planet below, 2,000 colonists were safe. In the escape pods floating nearby, families were reunited with their loved ones. It was a good day's work, but Jake knew it was also the end of an era. For 30 years, humanity had hidden its true strength. Today, that secret had died along with 12 Zephyrian destroyers. The galaxy was about to learn what humans were really capable of. Jake just hoped his species was ready for what came next. Image description for Leonardo AI. A sleek human starship floating in space near a burning space station, with destroyed alien vessel debris scattered around. The human ship appears deceptively simple but emanates powerful energy beams. In the background, a planet with mining colonies is visible, along with small escape pods drifting in space. The scene shows the aftermath of a space battle with glowing weapon effects, and the contrast between the intact human vessel and the destroyed enemy fleet remains. Admiral Lisa Parker sat in her office on Coalition Central Station and watched the news reports for the 5th time. Every channel was showing the same footage. 12 Zephyrian destroyers reduced to space dust by a single human ship. The reporters called it impossible. The military experts called it fake. The Zephyrians called it an act of war. Lisa knew it was the beginning of the end. Her door chimed in. Ambassador Veltar from the Mentari Empire walked in without waiting for permission. The tall, blue-skinned alien looked angry. His 4 arms moved in agitated gestures as he spoke. Admiral Parker, Veltar said in his deep voice. The Mentari High Command demands an explanation. What kind of weapons did your ship use at Kepler 7? Lisa kept her face calm. She had practiced this conversation in her mind for years. Ambassador Captain Martinez used standard human defensive weapons to protect a civilian colony. Nothing more. Standard weapons do not destroy Zephyrian battlecruisers in seconds, Veltar snapped. The sensor readings show energy signatures we have never seen before. Your ship's hull showed no damage despite taking direct hits from 12 ships. This is not possible with the technology you have shown us. Perhaps Zephyrian weapons are not as powerful as you believed, Lisa said quietly. Veltar's skin changed from blue to dark purple. In Mentari culture, that meant extreme anger. Do not play games with me, Admiral. The Mentari Empire has tolerated human membership in the Coalition because you were weak and harmless. If that has changed, we need to... No, Lisa stood up from her desk. She was much smaller than the alien ambassador, but she did not step back. Ambassador, humanity remains committed to peace and cooperation within the Coalition. We will defend ourselves when attacked, but we seek no conflict with any member species. Words, Veltar said. We need proof. The High Command is sending a delegation to inspect your military facilities on Earth. You will cooperate fully. Of course, Lisa agreed. We have nothing to hide. After Veltar left, Lisa activated her secure communication system. The screen showed General Rick Thompson sitting in his office on Earth. Behind him, she could see the familiar view of the Rocky Mountains. How bad is it? Thompson asked without greeting. Bad, Lisa replied. The Mentari want to inspect our facilities. The Zephyrians are calling for revenge. Half the Coalition thinks we're lying about our capabilities, and the other half thinks we're a threat. Thompson nodded grimly. I've already spoken with the Shadow Council. We're moving to Phase 2 of the contingency plan. How long do we have? Maybe a week before their inspection team arrives. Rick, are you sure we can fool them? We've been preparing for this day since we joined the Coalition, Thompson said. They'll see exactly what we want them to see. Lisa ended the call and looked out her office window at the busy space station. Alien ships from a dozen different species moved through the traffic lanes. For 30 years, this had been humanity's home away from home. Soon it might become enemy territory. On Earth, General Thompson walked through what appeared to be humanity's primary military complex. To any outside observer, it looked exactly like what a primitive species might build. The weapons were simple, plasma rifles and basic missile systems. The vehicles were crude but functional. The soldiers looked competent but not exceptional. None of it was real. The actual military facilities were hidden beneath the ocean floors, inside asteroid mining operations and within civilian space stations. The real weapons could crack planets. The real ships could move faster than anything in Coalition space. The real soldiers had been training for interstellar warfare since childhood. Thompson's communication device buzzed. General, this is Dr. Williams. I need to see you immediately. Dr. Kate Williams was officially a civilian researcher studying alien cultures. In reality, she was humanity's chief military strategist and the person who knew more about alien psychology than anyone else alive. If she was worried, Thompson needed to listen. He found her in the underground facility that did not officially exist, studying data displays that showed troop movements across Coalition space. Kate was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. We have a problem, she said without looking up from her screens. I've been monitoring alien communication channels since the Kepler 7 incident. 3 different species are mobilizing their fleets. Thompson felt cold. Which ones? The Hegemony Council is moving ships toward our outer colonies. They're calling it routine exercises, but the formations are clearly offensive. The Void Hunters are pulling back from their border conflicts and consolidating their forces. And the Mantiar I. Kate finally looked at him. The Mentari Third Fleet just went to full battle alert. How long? Thompson asked. Days, maybe a week if we're lucky. Rick, they're scared? Really scared? They've convinced themselves that we've been lying about everything for 30 years. In their minds, if we can hide weapons like that, what else? Are we hiding? Thompson activated his secure communicator. Shadow Council, emergency session, authorization Omega-7. Within minutes, the holographic images of 12 people appeared around the table. These were the real leaders of humanity. Presidents and prime ministers gave speeches and signed treaties, but these 12 people made the decisions that mattered. Report, said Council Leader Helen Chung. Kate Williams stepped forward. Multiple alien fleets are preparing for offensive action against human space. Our deception is failing faster than we anticipated. We need to make a choice now. Options? Asked another council member. 3, Thompson replied. We can reveal everything and hope they back down. We can maintain the deception and hope they don't attack. Or we can strike first while they're still unprepared. The council members looked at each other silently. These were not easy people to surprise, but the speed of events was shocking even to them. What about the inspection team? Asked Council Leader Chung. We let them come, Kate said. We show them our fake facilities and convince them we're still weak. Meanwhile, we prepare for war. And if that doesn't work? Kate's expression was grim. Then we show them what 30 years of preparation really looks like. On Coalition Central Station, Admiral Lisa Parker was having similar conversations with human intelligence agents scattered throughout alien space. Agent Maria Lopez, operating as a trade negotiator within the Hegemony Council, reported that their war fleets were moving toward human territory. Agent Tom Blake, embedded with the Void Hunters, confirmed that their most aggressive factions were pushing for immediate action. The message was clear. The alien species had spent 30 years believing humans were harmless. Now they suspected the truth, and that terrified them. Terrified beings made dangerous decisions. Lisa's communication system chimed again. This time it was Captain Jake Martinez calling from the Defiant. Admiral, Jake said. His face looked tired. We've been getting challenges from alien patrol. Ships all day, nothing serious yet, but they're testing us. Seeing how we respond? Any incidents? Not yet. But ma'am, the crew is getting nervous. We've been hiding who we are for so long that some of them forgot we don't have to be afraid anymore, Lisa understood. For a generation, humans had been trained to think small, act weak, and avoid confrontation. Changing that mindset would take time they might not have. Jake, new orders. Return to Earth immediately. We're recalling all ships. Is it that bad? It's about to be. After ending the call, Lisa looked at the intelligence reports one more time. The Mentari inspection team would arrive in 6 days. If they discovered the truth, war would follow. Within hours. If they didn't, war would probably come anyway. As alien suspicions continued to grow, she opened a new message channel, one that reached every human ship, station, and colony in the galaxy. All stations, this is Admiral Parker. Implement Protocol 7. Repeat, implement Protocol 7. This is not a drill. Protocol 7 was the code that meant everything was about to change. Across human space, secret facilities powered up for the first time in decades. Hidden weapons came online. Concealed ships prepared for launch. Sleeping soldiers woke up to find their long training was about to be tested in real combat. Lisa looked out at the alien ships moving past her window. In a few days, she might be looking at them through the targeting scope of a human battlecruiser. The thought should have frightened her. Instead, she felt relief. 30 years of lying was enough. 30 years of pretending to be weak while preparing for strength was enough. 30 years of watching bullies like the Zephyrians hurt innocent people was enough. The aliens wanted to know what humanity was really capable of. Soon they would find out. Lisa just hoped some of them would survive the lesson. Image. Description for Leonardo AI. A massive space station with multiple alien ships docked around it, showing various alien species with different designs and colors. In the foreground, a human admiral stands at a large window overlooking the busy space traffic, with holographic displays showing fleet movements and military data. The scene conveys tension and preparation for conflict, with alien vessels of different shapes and sizes representing various coalition species moving through space lanes around the central station. Commander Steve Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty and tried to look nervous. It was not easy. He had been pretending to be humanity's best military commander for 15 years, but the truth was different. Steve was actually one of 12 fleet commanders and not even the most skilled one, but the aliens did not know that. "Commander," said his communications officer, Lieutenant Carol Watson, "the coalition observers are requesting permission to come aboard." Steve nodded. "Granted. Full honors." The coalition had decided to test humanity's military strength with what they called a joint training exercise. The target was a rogue artificial intelligence fleet that had been attacking settlements in the Outer Rim. According to coalition intelligence, the AI fleet had 50 ships with weapons equal to a standard battle group. Steve knew the truth was worse. Much worse. But that was why they were here. The airlock opened and 6 different alien species walked onto his bridge. The Mentari observer was tall and blue with 4 arms. The Zephyrian was shorter but covered in natural armor plates. The others represented the Hegemony Council, the Void Hunters, the Crystal Collective, and the Plant Lords. All of them had brought their most advanced ships to watch humanity fight. "Commander Rodriguez," said the Mentari observer, whose name was Fleet Captain Zorthan, "we are honored to witness human military tactics in action. The honor is ours," Steve replied. He gestured toward the tactical display. "As you can see, we have brought our entire available fleet for this exercise." The aliens looked at the display showing 27 human ships. To their eyes, the vessels looked basic but adequate. Simple designs with standard weapons and normal armor. Nothing that would threaten the established order of coalition space. They had no idea they were looking at shadows. "Impressive numbers," said the Zephyrian observer, though his tone suggested the opposite. "Tell us about your battle plan." Steve pointed to the holographic display of the Kronos system. "The AI fleet is holding position near the 4th planet. We will approach in defensive formation and engage them directly. Our strategy is to use our superior numbers to wear down their defenses." The alien observers exchanged glances. Superior numbers? The humans had 27 ships against 50 AI vessels. That was not superiority. That was barely adequate. "Commander," said the Hegemony Council observer, a being that looked like a walking tree with too many eyes, "perhaps you would benefit from our tactical advice? We have much experience fighting artificial intelligence enemies." "Thank you," Steve said politely, "but we prefer to handle this ourselves." The truth was that humanity had been fighting AI enemies for 20 years in secret. The rogue fleet they were about to face was actually the 3rd such force Steve had encountered. The first 2 no longer existed. "All ships, this is Liberty Command," Steve announced over the fleet communication channel. "Jump to Kronos system. In 3 minutes, remember we have guests aboard." "Make it look difficult." Lieutenant Carol Watson almost smiled at that. Making it look difficult was going to be the hardest part of the entire operation. The human fleet jumped to faster than light speed. When they emerged in the Kronos system, the AI fleet was waiting for them exactly where intelligence had predicted. 50 black ships hung in perfect formation around the gas giant. Their hulls showed no markings, no lights, just pure functionality designed for killing. "Contact," reported the tactical officer, Lieutenant Mark Davis. 50 confirmed AI vessels. They're moving to intercept. Steve watched the tactical display as the enemy ships began their approach. The AIs were smart. They had studied coalition tactics for months and knew how to fight every species in the galaxy. Every species except one. "All ships, defensive formation Delta 7, Steve ordered. "Prepare for engagement." The human fleet clustered together in what looked like a desperate defensive position. The alien observers made notes on their personal devices. This was exactly the kind of primitive tactics they expected from humans. The AI fleet struck with coordinated precision. Energy beams and missile salvos hammered the human ships. The Liberty shook under the impact and several displays flickered. Steve heard one of the alien observers make a satisfied sound. "Damage report," Steve called out. "Hull damage on decks." 7 through 9, reported Chief Engineer Bob Johnson. "We're showing severe structural stress." The alien observers were recording everything. As far as they could tell, the human ships were taking heavy damage and barely holding together. 3 human vessels appeared to be drifting with power failures. Another was showing atmosphere leaks. "Sir," said Lieutenant Watson, looking worried. For the benefit of their guests, "Should we call for assistance? Our ships are not designed for this level of combat." "Negative," Steve replied firmly. "We can handle this." The battle continued for 8 more minutes. The human ships appeared to be slowly losing ground despite their numerical advantage. 2 more vessels seemed to suffer critical damage and fell. Back from the fighting, the AI fleet pressed their attack, confident in their superior technology. Steve watched the chronometer on his console. 9 minutes and 30 seconds since first contact. Close enough. "All ships," he said quietly into his command microphone. "Operational security is no longer required. Execute Protocol 7. The change was immediate and shocking. Stealth generators throughout the human fleet deactivated. The 27 ships that the aliens could see suddenly became 43. Vessels as hidden dreadnoughts and battlecruisers appeared from nowhere. The ships that had seemed damaged revealed hull plating that was completely intact. Weapon systems that had been firing at minimal power suddenly unleashed their true capabilities. The alien observers stood frozen as they watched the tactical display transform before their eyes. The human fleet they thought they knew had never existed. This was something else entirely. "What is this?" demanded Fleet Captain Zorthan. "These readings are impossible." Steve turned to face the alien observers. His expression was no longer that of a nervous human commander trying his best. Now he looked like exactly what he was, a predator who had been playing with his food. "This," Steve said calmly, "is a human fleet." The lead AI ship, a massive dreadnought that had been dominating the battle, suddenly found itself targeted by 16 quantum disruption beams simultaneously. The ship simply vanished, not destroyed, not exploded. Just gone? The remaining AI vessels tried to adapt to the new situation, but their programming had never encountered anything like human military technology. They had been designed to fight coalition species using known tactics and familiar weapons. What they faced now was completely outside their experience. The Use Thunderbolt, one of the newly revealed human dreadnoughts, fired a single shot from its main gun. The projectile was the size of a small car and moved at 90% the speed of light. It passed through 3 eye destroyers and kept going until it hit the gas giant's moon, leaving a crater visible from orbit. "Fascinating," said the Crystal Collective observer in a voice like breaking glass. "How long have you possessed such weapons?" "A while," Steve replied without taking his eyes off the battle. The AI fleet tried to retreat, but human ships were already in position to block their escape routes. The artificial intelligences were trapped in a sphere of human vessels, each one capable of destroying a dozen normal ships. The battle lasted exactly 14 minutes from start to finish. Not a single human ship was destroyed. The AI fleet was completely annihilated, their advanced programming useless against tactics and technology they had never been designed to counter. Steve looked at the alien observers, who were staring at their sensor readings with expressions of shock and disbelief. "Exercise complete," he announced. All ships returned to standard formation. The human fleet began organizing itself for the return journey. The alien observers stood in stunned silence, trying to process what they had witnessed. Everything they thought they knew about human military capabilities had just been proven completely wrong. "Commander," said the Hegemony Council observer, "finally, we need to report this to our governments immediately." "Of course," Steve agreed. "Please tell them that humanity appreciates the opportunity to demonstrate our defensive capabilities." As the alien observers hurried off his bridge to contact their fleets, Steve allowed himself a small smile. The test was over and humanity had passed with perfect marks. The question now was whether the rest of the galaxy would pass their own test, the test of wisdom. The test of knowing when not to pick a fight they could not win. Steve had a feeling that some species were about to fail that test badly. Image description for Leonardo AI. A massive space battle scene showing 43 human warships in perfect formation surrounding and destroying black AI vessels. The human ships appear sleek and advanced with glowing weapons firing devastating energy beams. In the foreground, multiple alien observers of different species stand on a ship's bridge looking shocked at holographic displays showing the battle. The scene shows the moment of revelation when humanity's true fleet strength is unveiled, with destroyed enemy ships and powerful weapon effects lighting up space. Agent Maria Lopez sat in the Hegemony Council chamber and listened to the most powerful beings in the galaxy argue like children. For 15 years, she had pretended to be a simple trade negotiator. In reality, she was one of humanity's deepest intelligence assets, and what she was hearing terrified her. "The humans have made fools of us all," declared High Chancellor Vexamer, his tree-like form trembling with rage. 30 years of lies. 30 years of pretending to be weak while building weapons that make our fleets look like toys. "The question," said War Leader Craftman from the Void Hunters, "is what we do about it. My scouts report human ships appearing in systems where we have never seen them before. They are everywhere." Maria kept her face neutral while making notes on her datapad. Inside, she was calculating how quickly she could get this information to Earth. The situation was worse than anyone had imagined. "I propose immediate military action," said the Zephyrian representative. His armor plates clicked together as he moved. "Strike now before they can prepare their defenses? With what?" asked the Mentari delegate. Fleet Captain Zorthan's report from the Kronos exercise was clear. "Our weapons cannot penetrate their shields. Our tactics are useless against their technology. How do we fight an enemy we cannot hurt?" The chamber fell silent. These were beings who had conquered star systems and enslaved entire species. For the first time in their lives, they were discussing an enemy they feared. Maria activated a hidden recorder in her jewelry. Earth needed to hear this conversation. On Earth, President Don Clark read Maria's report for the third time. The Shadow Council had called an emergency meeting in the bunker beneath Mount Weather. Around the table sat the 12 people who really controlled humanity's destiny. "3 different fleets are moving toward human space," reported General Thompson. "The Mentari Third Fleet, the Hegemony War Armada, and a combined Zephyrian Void Hunter Force. We estimate they will arrive within 72 hours. Dr. Kate Williams activated the holographic display showing the galactic map. Red markers indicated enemy fleet positions. Blue markers showed human assets. For the first time in 30 years, there were far more blue markers than anyone had expected. "Our deception is completely blown," Kate said. "Every intelligence service in the galaxy is reassessing everything they know about us. They have figured out that we have been lying about our population, our technology, our military strength, and our territorial claims. How much do they know?" asked Council Leader Helen Chang. "Enough to be dangerous," Kate replied. "Not enough to be smart." President Clark looked around the table. "Options?" "We reveal everything," said one council member. "Show them our true strength and hope they back down." "We continue hiding," suggested another. "Make them think the Kronos exercise was our maximum capability." General Thompson shook his head. "Too late for that. Maria's intelligence shows they are planning coordinated strikes on our core worlds. They think if they hit us hard enough and fast enough, they can destroy our military before we can respond." "And our real capabilities?" asked the president. Dr. Williams smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Mr. President, we have been preparing for interstellar warfare since the day we joined the coalition. Our hidden fleet outnumbers all coalition forces combined. Our technology is at least 50 years ahead of anything they possess. Our soldiers have been training for this exact scenario their entire lives. She activated another display showing the true extent of human military assets. Hidden bases in 17 star systems. Fleets concealed in asteroid fields and gas giant atmospheres. Weapons platforms disguised as mining stations. It was the largest military force in galactic history, and nobody had seen it coming. "My God," whispered President Clark. "How did we keep this secret for so long?" "Very carefully," replied General Thompson. "And with a lot of help from alien assumptions. They expected us to be primitive, so they saw what they expected to see." Council. Leader Chang looked at the tactical displays. "If we reveal our true strength now, will they surrender?" "Some will," Kate answered. "The smart ones. But others will fight anyway. Pride, fear, desperation. They will convince themselves that they have to destroy us before we destroy them. And if we do nothing? They attack in 3 days with everything they have. They will target our colonies. First, trying to force us to surrender by threatening civilians. The president was quiet for a long moment. Outside the bunker, normal people were going about their normal lives, unaware that the next few hours would determine the future of their species. "General Thompson," he said finally, "how long would it take to mobilize our real military?" "It is already mobilized, sir. Has been since the Kepler 7 incident. We just need your authorization to drop the pretense." "And Admiral Parker?" "Standing by at Coalition Central Station. The moment you give the word, she will deliver our message to the alien governments." President Clark looked around the table one more time. "Are we sure about this? Once we reveal our true strength, there is no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again." "Mr. President," said Dr. Williams quietly, "the galaxy stopped seeing us as harmless the moment Captain Martinez destroyed that Zephyrian fleet. Now they see us as a threat to be eliminated. The only question is whether we let them try to eliminate us or whether we show them why that would be impossible." The president nodded slowly. "Send the message." On Coalition Central Station, Admiral Lisa Parker received the authorization she had been waiting for. She looked around her office one last time. Tomorrow, this might be enemy territory. Today, it was still neutral ground where she could deliver humanity's final diplomatic message. She walked to the main council chamber where representatives from all coalition species were gathered in emergency session. The room fell silent as she entered. Everyone knew why she was here. "Honored delegates," Lisa began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "I bring a message from the government of Earth and all human colonies." She activated a holographic display showing an official document with the seal of the United Nations. Effective immediately, humanity is withdrawing from the Coalition Military Oversight Agreement. Human space is now off-limits to foreign military vessels. Any attempts at aggression against human territory or citizens will be met with immediate an overwhelming force. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Ambassador Veltar from the Mentari Empire stood up, his forearms waving in fury. "You cannot simply declare independence from coalition authority," he shouted. "The Mentari Empire does not recognize this withdrawal. Our fleets are already moving to restore order in human space." Lisa looked at him calmly. "Ambassador, I suggest you contact your fleets and order them to turn around." "Or what?" Veltar demanded. "What will you do with your few dozen primitive ships against the might of the Mantari Third Fleet?" Lisa smiled. It was the same expression a teacher might wear when a student was about to learn a very hard lesson. "Ambassador," she said quietly, "you are about to find out what humanity has been building for the last 30 years. She activated her personal communicator. "General Thompson, this is Admiral Parker." "The coalition has been notified. Initiate full disclosure. Across human space, the pretense ended. Hidden bases powered up their transmitters and announced their existence to the galaxy. Concealed fleets dropped their stealth systems and appeared on every sensor screen in coalition territory. Weapons platforms that had been disguised as civilian structures revealed their true nature. The numbers were staggering. Over 2,000 human warships appeared simultaneously across 17 star systems. Each one was more advanced than anything the Coalition had ever seen. The hidden infrastructure revealed itself to be larger than the combined military assets of all other species on Coalition Central Station. The alien delegates stared at their sensor readings in stunned silence. The display screen showed human fleet movements that should have been impossible. Ships appearing from nowhere. Bases that had never existed suddenly broadcasting identification signals. A military force that dwarfed anything in galactic history. Ambassador Veltar's skin had turned from blue to pale gray. "This is not possible," he whispered. "Our intelligence services would have detected such forces?" "Your intelligence services saw exactly what we wanted them to see," Lisa replied. "For 30 years you believed humans were weak because we acted weak. You believed we were primitive because we showed you primitive technology. You believed we were harmless because we chose to be harmless." She looked around the chamber at the shocked faces of beings who had thought they ruled the galaxy. "That time is over," she said. "The question now is whether the Coalition will accept the new reality peacefully, or whether you will force us to demonstrate why that would be unwise." The silence that followed was broken by Ambassador Veltar's communicator buzzing urgently. He answered it and listened to a rapid stream of information in the Mentari language. His face grew more pale with each word. "Admiral Parker," he said finally, "my government wishes to discuss the situation. Perhaps we can reach some accommodation." "Perhaps," Lisa agreed. "But first, you might want to contact your Third Fleet. I believe they are about to encounter some unexpected obstacles on their way to human space." Fleet Admiral Korthvin of the Mentari Third Fleet stared at his tactical display and tried to understand what he was seeing. His 300 ships, the most powerful military force in Coalition history, had just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. What waited for them should have been a lightly defended human homeworld and maybe a dozen primitive patrol ships. Instead, the entire system was a fortress. "Fleet Admiral," said his tactical officer, her voice shaking. "Sensors are detecting massive installations throughout the asteroid belt. The moon appears to be ... opening." Korthvin watched in disbelief as Luna's surface split apart like a flower blooming. Beneath the rocky exterior lay weapon batteries the size of mountains. Energy readings showed power levels that made his flagship look like a child's toy. "Mars is showing similar readings, sir," reported another officer. "The entire planet appears to be a military installation." But the real shock came when the human fleet revealed itself. Ship after ship materialized from stealth systems, surrounding the Mentari force in a perfect sphere. The sensor readings were impossible. Over 2,000 human vessels, each one showing technology signatures that his science officers could not identify. "Communications from the human flagship," his communications officer announced. The main screen activated, showing a human wearing the uniform of an admiral. He was older, with gray hair and calm eyes that seemed to look right through. "Korthvin, I am Admiral Ben Carter of the United Earth Space Force," the human said. "You have entered human territory with hostile intent. I am offering you one chance to surrender. Power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted out of our space." Korthvin felt his blood turn to ice. This was not the voice of a primitive species begging for mercy. This was the voice of a predator offering its prey a chance to live. "Human Admiral," Korthvin replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "I am Fleet Admiral Korthvin of the Mentari Third Fleet. We are here on the authority of the Coalition Council to restore order in this system. Surrender your ships immediately." Admiral Carter's expression did not change. "Fleet Admiral, you have 30 seconds to begin powering down your weapons. After that, we will consider you hostile and respond accordingly." Korthvin looked at his tactical display again. 300 Mentari ships against over 2,000 human vessels. The smart move was obvious, but the Mentari Empire had not conquered half the galaxy by backing down from fights. "All ships," he announced over the fleet communication channel. "Attack formation. Target the human flagship." Show these primitives the power of the Mentari Empire. The Third Fleet opened fire with everything they had. Plasma cannons, particle beams, and quantum torpedoes lanced out toward the human ships. For a moment, space around Earth lit up like a small sun as the most advanced weapons in Coalition space struck their targets. When the light faded, every human ship was still there, undamaged, untouched. "Impossible," whispered Korthvin's tactical officer. "Our weapons should have destroyed half their fleet." Admiral Carter appeared on the screen again. "Your 30 seconds are over, Fleet Admiral." The human fleet opened fire. What happened next could not be called a battle. It was an execution. The Mentari ships, pride of the most powerful empire in the galaxy, simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed in explosions of light and debris, not torn apart by overwhelming firepower. They just stopped being there, one after another, until only Korthvin's flagship remained floating alone in space. "Fleet Admiral," came Carter's voice again. "Your ship has been disabled but not destroyed. Your crew will be treated according to galactic law. You will serve as witnesses to what happened here today." Korthvin stared at his dead control panels. 300 ships. Gone in 14 minutes. The most powerful military force in Galactic history had been swatted aside like insects. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Why did you spare us?" "Because," Admiral Carter replied, "someone needs to go home and tell the others what they saw." The news reached Coalition space within hours. The Mentari Third Fleet, 300 of the most advanced warships ever built, had been completely destroyed by human forces. The survivors' reports were consistent and terrifying. Human weapons that passed through shields like they were not there. Human ships that seemed immune to all known forms of attack. A military force that appeared to be decades ahead of anything the Coalition possessed. On the Hegemony Council homeworld, High Chancellor Veximer read the reports and felt something he had never experienced before: genuine fear. The Hegemony had existed for 1,000 years, conquering and enslaving dozens of species. Now they faced something that could end their empire in a matter of days. "Recall all fleets," he ordered. "Send a message to Earth we wish to discuss." Terms. Similar scenes played out across Coalition space. The Void Hunters, who had never retreated from a fight in their species' history, withdrew their forces to their home systems. The Crystal Collective began dismantling their forward bases near human territory. 3 minor species announced their complete withdrawal from the Coalition and requested protection from Earth. Agent Maria Lopez, still embedded with what remained of the Hegemony Council, watched the galaxy's most powerful beings argue about surrender terms. These were creatures who had ruled star systems and enslaved entire worlds. Now they spoke in whispers about accommodation and peace treaties. "We could evacuate our border systems," suggested one council member. "Give the humans a buffer zone." "That might not be enough," replied another. "Our intelligence estimates suggest they have military assets throughout the galaxy. They could be anywhere." Maria kept her expression neutral while recording everything. The psychological impact of humanity's demonstration was even more devastating than the physical destruction. The aliens had spent 30 years believing they were the apex predators of the galaxy. Learning they were actually prey had shattered their confidence completely. On Earth, President Clark watched the reports flooding in from across human space. Alien fleets withdrawing, diplomatic messages requesting non-aggression pacts, trade routes being rerouted to avoid human territory. The galaxy was rearranging itself around the new reality of human power. "Any response from the Coalition Council?" he asked Admiral Parker, who had returned from Coalition Central Station. "They're requesting a formal meeting," she replied. "They want to negotiate new treaties recognizing human territorial claims and military autonomy. And our response?" "We will consider their request," Parker said with a slight smile. "In our own time." 6 months later, Captain Jake Martinez, now promoted to Admiral, stood on the bridge of the UES Revelation and watched a familiar sight. A Zephyrian patrol fleet was approaching, but instead of the aggressive posturing he remembered from before, they were broadcasting surrender codes. Admiral, reported Lieutenant Amy Foster, still serving as his communications officer. The Zephyrian commander is requesting permission to transit through our space. He says they will follow any routing we specify, Jake nodded. Grant permission. Standard commercial transit lane. As the Zephyrian ships moved carefully through human space, staying exactly on the approved route, Jake reflected on how much had changed. The same species that had been attacking civilian colonies just months ago now treated human space with the respect usually reserved for sacred ground. Sir, Amy said quietly, do you think they understand now? Understand what? That we never wanted to conquer anyone. We just wanted to be left alone to explore and build. Jake looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were making contact with species that had never heard of the Coalition. Human scientists were studying phenomena that alien empires had ignored. Human colonists were turning dead worlds into gardens. I think they are starting to, he said. The smart ones, anyway. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Humanity had spent 30 years hiding their true strength, not because they were afraid, but because they were patient. They had prepared for war while hoping for peace. They had built the most powerful military force in galactic history and then used it only when forced to defend themselves. Now, in the silence that followed their demonstration, other species were discovering what humans had always known. Sometimes the strongest choice was not to fight at all. Sometimes the greatest victory was the one that ended all future battles. In that silence, humanity had finally found what they had been looking for since they first reached for the stars. Not conquest or domination, but the freedom to grow and explore without fear. The galaxy was vast, and there was room for everyone in it. But now, finally, everyone understood the rules. Image description for Leonardo AI. A massive space battle aftermath scene showing the solar system transformed into a fortress with Luna's surface open to reveal enormous weapon installations and Mars visible as a military planet. In the foreground, a single damaged alien flagship floats alone among debris fields where a once mighty fleet existed. Thousands of sleek human warships maintain perfect formation around Earth, their hulls gleaming with advanced technology. The scene captures the moment after humanity's overwhelming victory, with Earth's true defensive capabilities finally revealed in all their terrifying glory.